You see what I'm saying?
I do kind of. Although I would rephrase what a financial derivative is versus just a derivative as a term. A financial derivative would be a contract based on some other pure asset, or even another derivative contract or another derivative. But it is a derivative in the financial sense, is an agreement between two or more people to transact some kind of an arrangement, either a future or an option, or it could be anything. But in the case of a real asset versus a financial asset versus a financial derivative, a financial asset should and does have the ability to stand alone. And it doesn't require third party. It doesn't require anything other than that financial asset being present, being there, being available. So, for example, gold and silver. You have gold that used to be traded in the old days. You'd walk into a bank and they had pieces of paper or money or whatever you wanted, and you could trade it. Or you go to an exchange where they actually had the physical gold and physical silver, and it was traded for dollars or won or pigs or cattle or whatever was happening. Those were real transactions where real assets were being traded between each other. And that's what the beginnings of an exchange was. Now, it wasn't very efficient, obviously, if you're going to have to haul in a whole bunch of silver every day to, especially if you're a market maker, to make those trades. So it's kind of like the beginning of fiat money, where the goldsmiths back in the day would give you a certificate of deposit when you deposit the gold with the goldsmith, because they had the vaults and nobody else had vaults back then. So, and then the certificates were so sound because they trusted that they had all this gold. The goldsmiths started printing more certificates than they had gold. That same thing's going on with fiat money today, since we left the gold standard. Now, when you get into the derivative side of it, we have assets like silver, gold, oil, and Litecoin, for example. Those would be a financial asset because there's no third party. You don't have to rely on a third party or anything like that for that asset to be in your possession. Now, in order to facilitate trading, they create derivatives, because we think it's normal for millions of trades to go on every day. We call it liquidity, so that when you see a price, you know that you can jump into that market and get that price because there's so many other buyers and sellers. Well, that's where we ran into the problem. All liquidity is not the same. These are not, there wasn't, 60 million Litecoin traded yesterday. That's a derivative that's traded. And that's the problem, is that there's no limit on the amount of derivatives you can create to enter the market. And we're seeing that right now with the volumes on the exchanges. Now, I get that some of these are just phantom volumes. I get that. But some of them, a lot of them, especially with the lower profile exchanges, it's more than phantom volume. They have customers with Litecoin in their account that they don't hold the Litecoin. And they have no hope of holding the Litecoin. And as long as everybody doesn't pull their money out their Litecoin out at the same time, they're fine. But what it does, it creates phantom liquidity. So that it's not really, and then what happens there, the problem with phantom liquidity, which is liquidity that isn't really connected to a specific asset. The problem with that is you got people who are intent on rigging the price up, down, or sideways. Because every time the price gets rigged, the rigger has a desire for that price to go up or down or wherever they want to go. So they either make more money or control the system. So with the introduction of derivatives that are not Litecoin, not silver, not anything related to that asset other than a third-party promise or a third-party contract, that's where we get into the problem, because they found out, the banks especially, that we license into existence. We allow them to create money out of thin air, we the people, because we can pull that Federal Reserve statute out with the signing of the pen.
God, I wish they would.
I think at some point they would. But because they are able to create money and create derivatives and the deregulation of derivatives in the 90s by Greenspan and Summers and Robert Rubin, because they can create unlimited amounts of derivatives, they can distort the true fair market value of any asset that is traded on these derivative exchanges. That's my problem, and that's what I've seen with the creation of the COMEX in the early 1970s when we went off the gold standard. They said, oh my God, we're going off the gold standard. Every time this has happened, the price of gold went through the roof and the fiat money that was left over crashed. Well, this time they invented computer programs to rig the markets in the 1970s. Then they invented the COMEX, which is a futures and options trading platform. And they invented the CFTC to run cover for all the criminality that had to go on within the banks. So sometimes the banks are running for their own books. Sometimes they're, rigging for their own books. Sometimes they're rigging for the U.S. government. Sometimes they're rigging for the Federal Reserve. It all depends on, what's the situation of the time. And as we saw with Chris Giancarlo and Donald Trump and Steve Mnuchin and Gary Cohn, they decided to rig the Bitcoin market in 2017 and make it crash in December. All throughout 2018, that was them. Now, what did they do to do it? One, they instituted or allowed the implementation of the CME, which is not a big deal, but they did other things. They got in touch with the trustee of the Mt. Gox bankruptcy and said, hey, you're going to sell Bitcoin at these stages. When we tell you to sell Bitcoin, you're going to sell massive amounts of Bitcoin into the market because we got to bring this price down. They also sold Bitcoin that they had mined. There was all kinds, they put a lot of disinformation out in the media. So it wasn't just one thing that they did. It was a government effort to at least slow down. They can't stop Bitcoin, but they were able to slow down and financially destroy a lot of people in the process.